Hey folks, good morning and welcome to another episode of Steelers Morning Rush. I'm Alan Saunders. It is Monday, February 24th. We're back after a weekend off. My voice is, I don't know, it's getting there anyway. Appreciate you guys bearing with me last week. Today, I don't do this all the time, but today, this podcast is going to serve as a companion piece to my story that I wrote this morning. I don't do it all the time because it's boring to me to talk about what I just wrote about, and variety is the spice of life, but spend a lot of time on this story. I want to make sure that you all read it, and also just want to talk about some of the things that I introduced. So please go over to SteelersNow.com, check it out. My story on what I call the year of the running back and how the seasons of Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, and to a lesser extent some other people may have significant and long-lasting impacts on the way running backs are valued around the NFL. We all know the Steelers were late to the running back value trend when they picked Najee Harris in the first round in 2021, but they may also have been late to this change in the trend that we saw last year. If it is a change, it could just be a one-year blip. It's very interesting to see what is going to happen in free agency this year, and free agency value drives the draft value later on. So what makes running backs bad first-round picks? It's not because running backs are bad players. It's not because they're not important players. What makes running backs bad first-round picks is they don't provide surplus value on their rookie contracts. When the NFL introduced the contract slotting system to the draft process in 2011, that introduced positional value to the draft. Before then, draft picks were free market. They could argue for what they were worth, whatever they thought they were worth. So if you picked a quarterback at 21 or a running back at 21, you would pay the quarterback and the running back differently because those players are worth different things. Now the NFL has slotted those draft picks into places. So now that slot is basically based on an average, okay, of every position. So if you draft a quarterback, you are getting above average value back for your contract. This player on open market might be valued $60 million. You only have to pay him $16. In fact, whoever's taken first overall in this year's draft will still be paid less than number one overall pick Sam Bradford was in 2010 on his rookie deal. That's how much this change has depressed the salaries of rookie quarterbacks. But if you draft a kicker at number 21, you're getting robbed, right? You're actually going to pay him way over his market value would be, okay? So it introduced this market value, this positional value to the draft, because market value is not position agnostic and the draft slotting position is. And that is why teams stopped drafting running backs in the first round. Oh, teams except for the Steelers and a handful of others. So the Steelers undid that mistake last year when they declined the fifth-year option on Najee Harris's contract. But when they did that, they might have missed this trend going back the other direction. So in a 5-year span from 2018 to 2023, there were 3 contracts given out to running backs on a 5-year span that had either more than $7.5 million average annual value or a total of $20 million on the contract. 3 guys in 5 years did that. Last offseason, 5 guys did that, including 2 guys who made over $30 million. One guy made 48. And that was Josh Jacobs. So what goes into the draft being a bad place for running backs is the salary. If the salaries are going to continue to go up, then running backs are going to start to look like better propositions in the draft. Najee Harris, I think, is going to get far more than the slightly under $7 million that the Steelers could have had him for on his 5th-year option when he hits the market. In fact, I will be astonished if Najee Harris doesn't get $10 million a year. And it would not surprise me one bit if Najee Harris gets $12 million a year, or nearly double what the Steelers were offering, because teams are going to see what Saquon Barkley and the Eagles did last year, what Derrick Henry and the Ravens did last year, and try to replicate it. Doesn't mean every team's going to be able to. A lot of what went into their success was the quality of the Eagles' offensive line, the ability of those running quarterbacks to be a weapon, a two-way weapon that teams also have to account for. But teams don't always learn the right lesson. A lot of times teams just see somebody doing something successful and they want to copy that. And in this year's free agent market, it's not this 5-player class like there was last year. You've got Najee Harris, you've got Aaron Jones, and you've got nobody else worth spending that kind of money on. So the salaries of those guys are going to get elevated because there's going to be a lot more teams that want a free agent running back that are able to get a free agent running back, and there's going to be a bidding war. So after missing the trend one way, the Steelers now look like they missed the trend the other way. They could have had Najee Harris for $7 million and traded him at a $5 or $6 million surplus this year. The good news for the Steelers, the only saving grace, this is an incredible running back class. The best running back class we've seen in several years. Ashton Jeanty from Boise State is a top 5 talent player in this draft class. Where will he be drafted? We don't have any idea. I've seen him mocked at number 3. I've seen him fall into the Steelers at 21. I don't think either of those things will happen. I think it'll be somewhere in between. We've also seen guys like Travion Henderson, Quinshon Judkins, Marion Hampton, Caleb Johnson, all mocked in the first round. 5 running backs in the first round would be incredibly unprecedented. I don't think that's going to happen either, but I think there's going to be more than one. And I think there might be, for the first time since 2011, more than 2, because it's a good running back class. And also the value proposition is starting to look like it might be shifting. So what does that mean for the Steelers? Well, they've got to draft a running back. Yeah, they're going to re-sign Jaylen Warren, and I don't think that'll be too difficult for them, but they need a running back in this class. They can't let Najee Harris walk out the door on that cheap contract that they could have had him for, and then not get a running back in the best running back class we've had in recent memory. But where is the value going to be? I don't think they're going to want to take one at 21 after what we've just seen transpire with Najee Harris. I think that's pretty much out the window. But who's going to make it to 52? Right now, I don't have any idea. I doubt they do either. And do they really want to take one at 52? I mean, they seem like they're interested in defensive tackle a lot in the first round. They obviously need a wide receiver. Can they wait to the 3rd round? Can they wait to the 4th round? It's a very deep class. There's guys right now projected in the 4th round that I love. Guys like Damian Martinez, Bashul Tutin, Marcus Yarns. Like, I like those players. Will they be there? How is the NFL going to react to the year of the running back? I think that is the central question around this offseason for the Pittsburgh Steelers at running back. And they're going to have to do what they didn't do in 2021 and what they didn't do last offseason. They're going to have to read the tea leaves correctly and understand what the rest of the league is going to think so that they can maximize their draft value at the running back position. The good news is that in general, Omar Khan has been very, very good at that specific thing since he became the Steelers general manager, but he did what looks like make a mistake with Najee Harris last year. He also misread the wide receiver market last year, so he is far from infallible. Please go over to SteelersNow.com. Check out the story. I worked really hard on it. There's also a bunch of graphics and pictures and graphs and charts and stuff that makes it a lot easier to understand. And I talked to Andy Reid for this story. I talked to Saquon Barkley, talked to the Eagles running backs coach. I talked to Senior Bowl director Jim Nagy. So while I was out on the road for 2 weeks doing all kinds of crazy traveling, this is the kind of thing I was getting that I could give back to you guys here. I'm pretty proud of it. So please go over there and check it out. That's all I got for this morning. In addition to going to SteelersNow.com to check out that and all the rest of the written work. We're also going to have a DB mock draft dropping probably as this podcast is or about the same time. So go over and check that out. I also wrote a draft profile on Toledo defensive tackle Darius Alexander, a rising player in this class who I like a lot. So go check out that. Like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications here on the YouTube channel so you don't miss an episode of Steelers Morning Rush, Steelers Afternoon Drive, all the rest of the stuff we got going here on the YouTube platform. I'll have a bunch of content coming from the NFL Combine starting tomorrow when I will be talking to Steelers General Manager Omar Khan at 10 a.m. So stay tuned for that here as well. And definitely don't want to miss anything we got coming here. Until then, that's all I got for now. Until next time, thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and enjoy.